Mary J. Blige is scrambling after shocking reports linked her to Diddy's infamous freak-off parties. Even worse, allegations have surfaced claiming she had a relationship with a 15-year-old boy, and the alleged victim is now speaking out. According to him, Diddy arranged everything and flew him out to be with Mary. Recently decrypted tapes found at Diddy's mansion reportedly contain footage of Mary J. Blige at these events. Federal agents uncovered nearly 2,000 hours of video from computers at Diddy's Miami estate, and as investigators decrypt more files, other celebrities may be implicated as well. Insiders say Mary worked closely with Diddy, and in her own words, she credited him for launching her career. Some sources claim that a powerful group in Hollywood controls everything behind the scenes, and they're the ones pulling the strings.
I met Puff. I was afraid of success, afraid to do anything that could put so much attention on me. And then when I met him, he was the complete opposite. And he was such a good thing for me because I needed what he had. And so his ambition pushed me to be ambitious because I didn't know how, because, you know, when you come from where I come from, you're scared to be ambitious. You're scared to want more. And so when I met Puff, I was blown away, but it took some years to grow into that and accepting someone that just was so excited about being seen and about having, the lights on them and wanted it for you more than you wanted it for yourself. So, I mean, Puff was a huge inspiration.
The alleged victim, Danny Boy, claims he first met Mary J. Blige at one of Diddy's parties while accompanied by Suge Knight. According to Danny, Suge told him that Mary was interested in him and wanted to spend time together. At the time, Danny was only 15 years old and didn't fully understand the situation. It wasn't until Mary took him to a private room for the night that he realized what was happening.
Mary J. Blige is allegedly on a freak-off tape with Diddy. It's been going around all over TikTok that Mary J. Blige is in a freak-off tape with Diddy, and she's saying that this was her rite of passage. And a lot of people have always wondered about Mary J. Blige, and they feel like she is in on some shit because she has never opened her mouth, and she has been with Diddy since the very beginning. And there are a lot of photos on the internet with Mary J. Blige with Cassie, and as you can see during these photos, Cassie has visible bruises on her body. Now, all this information with Mary J. Blige allegedly being in a freak-off tape with Diddy instantly made me think of Danny Boy. Mary J. Blige slept with a 15-year-old Danny Boy when she was 24 years old, and Danny Boy admitted that Mary J. Blige would fly him out to New York multiple different times.
That's why I was kind of confused when I heard Kurt saying that Mary was pot girl. Because at that time, she was my girl. At that time, I'm 15, 16 years old, and she flying me in to see her. And you know what it is when a girl back up on you, you young and shit, and I'm trying to show her that she ain't phasing me. I'm hard as goddamn. She's backing up against me. This Mary J. Blige. And quite nicely, I mean, I don't even know if you're supposed to say you had sex with people.
After Danny Boy came forward with these allegations, Mary J. Blige stayed completely silent. However, the amount of evidence supporting Danny's claims suggests that he's telling the truth. Sources say Mary allegedly fell in love with Danny Boy and became deeply depressed when the accusations surfaced. Eventually, Diddy had to step in to help her.
And that I'm human, and I'm not going to allow people to take my freedom. Only freedom I have is freedom to be me, freedom to do me, freedom to move around the way I want to, say what I want to, and not let you put me in a box.
Hers is a freedom hard-fought and earned. Born in the Bronx in the 1970s and raised by a single mother, Blige says she had a rough childhood. As a young girl, she was sexually abused. She discussed the incident in 2011 on VH1's Behind the Music.
When I was 5 years old, I was molested. And just, I remember feeling literally right before it happened, just could not believe this person was going to do this to me.
While things are bad for Mary, they're even worse for Diddy. His longtime law firm Grubman, Shire, Mycelas & Sachs, which had represented him for over 20 years, dropped him as a client. Reports claim that Lady Gaga personally threatened to leave the firm if they continued to represent a rapist.
The high-powered law firm of Grubman, Shire, Masalis, and Sachs has dropped Combs as a client. Now, this is the firm of Alan Grubman, who is a very prominent entertainment lawyer that represents some very big names. The Weeknd, Madonna, Chris Brown, Paul Simon, Usher, Bruce Springsteen. In fact, by the way, Alan Grubman was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He actually helped found that back in the 1980s. So, gives you an idea about how big of a powerhouse this firm is. Now let's go back to Sean Combs. So the rumor circulating is that this firm did this because singer and actress Lady Gaga had threatened to leave the firm unless they parted ways with Combs. This is according to reporting by News Nation. And it's a big deal because the rapper and producer had apparently been with Grubman's firm for over 20 years. He was friends with Alan Grubman by all accounts.
To make matters worse, the lawyers Diddy hired after being dropped are also quitting. His attorney, Anthony Rico, has officially filed a motion with Judge Aaron Supersand to withdraw from the case.
Romanian.
He's doing fine. It's a difficult circumstance. He's making the best of the situation.
A situation one of Diddy's attorneys won't be part of moving forward. Anthony Rico announcing in court docs, under no circumstances can he continue defending the embattled rapper.
This is a serious proceeding with serious consequences, and all of us are addressing it accordingly.
In a motion filed on Thursday, Rico stopped short of revealing why he's stepping down from Diddy's legal team, just months ahead of the music mogul's scheduled trial date in May for sex trafficking and racketeering charges, all of which Diddy's denied.
You know, Dr. King called it the law of unintended consequences. So sometimes the more you push a person down, the stronger they get.
That's Rico speaking up late last year for his now former client. ET's learned the attorney's exit will not affect Diddy's other attorneys, nor their defense strategy.
I told Mr. Combs I'm going to try and get his case to trial as quickly as possible. He has been ready to defend this case since he first found out about this case. Nothing has changed from his perspective.
You're going to hear about my party. They're going to be shutting them down. They're going to probably be arresting me.
After Diddy was arrested, Rico said he provided a high level of legal representation. But now, for reasons unknown, he can under no circumstances effectively serve in the upcoming trial.
Nobody's okay with staying in jail for now.
And high-profile death penalty attorney Anthony Rico. Now, while the pair joined around the same time, Anthony in a court filing on Friday said he's leaving the case. In the filing, Anthony Rico said, quote, "For the reasons set forth below, this motion for withdrawals is filed so that Sean Combs may move forward with his defense and to commence jury selection and trial without any delay. As a result of discussion with lead counsel Mark Agnifilo, this motion for withdrawal of counsel is filed. While I am aware that the local rule requires that an application for withdrawal of counsel is supported and granted, there are sufficient reasons related to protections afforded by the attorney-client privilege for brevity in my application for withdrawal as counsel in this case. Although I have provided Sean Combs with the high level of legal representation expected by the court, under no circumstances can I continue to effectively serve as counsel for Sean Combs," end quote. Now, essentially in legalese, I quit, but I can't go into details because of attorney-client privilege. According to the filing, though, the defense shakeup won't delay the case. Diddy will continue with 5 attorneys. That's Mark Agnifilo, Tenny Garagos, Alexandra Shapiro, Jason A. Driscoll, and Anna Esteval. Now, a judge still has to sign off on the motion, but with the government taking no position on it and the fact Anthony Rico spoke with Mark Agnifilo about it before filing the motion, a judge will likely...
So, what exactly did Anthony Rico and Grubman, Shire, Mycelas, and Sachs see that made them walk away? Could the evidence against Diddy be so damaging that even his own lawyers don't want to be involved? Industry insiders believe that this case is about to explode.
An attorney walking away. Sometimes it's because they don't get the lead chair or one of the lead chairs. Sometimes it's because a client is lying. Sometimes it's because they believe wholeheartedly that the client is going to be guilty and they don't want to be associated with that guilt because that's a loss on their record. It could be a variety of things, but the fact that we are speculating about that when the trial date hasn't even started yet concerns me, because I'm one of those people, ladies and gentlemen, who firmly believes it's virtually impossible to find a jury that's not contaminated by some kind of information that's been put out to the public before a trial begins. I'm not one of those that believes that. May 5th is May 5th. I mean, come on now. That's more than 2 months away. Jury ain't been selected yet. You trying to tell me nobody that's on the jury will have heard that a lawyer backed out of the case? I don't know about y'all, but I find that that's not a good thing for Sean Diddy.
Diddy is now desperately trying to suppress the evidence found at his Miami mansion. Keep in mind, this includes stacks of baby oil and countless explicit recordings that are still being decrypted by the FBI. Mary J. Blige is reportedly on some of these tapes, and Diddy's legal team knows that if this footage makes it into court, it's game over.
Sean Diddy Combs looking to suppress evidence in his federal trial. Senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky is back with the story. Good morning again, Aaron.
And to you, Michael. You'll remember federal agents from Homeland Security investigations were hardly shy when they raided Sean Combs' opulent homes in Los Angeles and Miami, guns drawn. The jailed music mogul now argues those searches and other searches of his iCloud accounts, electronic devices, and New York City hotel room following his arrest were unconstitutional. His lawyers argue evidence obtained through those searches must be suppressed. Diddy's lawyers say the government presented a grossly distorted picture of reality when applying for the search warrants, omitting certain facts and including salacious details from an unnamed producer that were never credible. Combs has pleaded not guilty to racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and prostitution charges. The defense is also arguing here his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, was a willing participant in drug-fueled sex performances called freak-offs, not coerced, as prosecutors allege.
I think that the public and the media have gotten nearly every fact wrong about what the prosecution's case is here. So I just want to take one issue with that. You know, there's no minors, there's no celebrity sex tapes. You know, the civil lawsuits here are not driving the allegations that we're defending against, but it is driving the vitriol against him in the media.
You know, I'm going to highlight something because this one drives me crazy because I read what the prosecution files and I read the indictment. And if you read the indictment, there's no allegation of sex with minors. There's no allegations of A-list celebrities. There are, the new superseding indictment lists 3 so-called victims. I like to call them complaining witnesses. But isn't that right, Tenny?
No, that's absolutely right. There's no minors here. There's no celebrity sex tapes. There are a lot of stories in the media about lawsuits. There's been a flurry of lawsuits in the past 2 days because of an expiring statute, essentially, which is why you've seen a lot of lawsuits in the past few days. But it's incredible here what I'm witnessing, which is that we're, at least I personally, like what people ask me about and come up to me about are a lot of allegations that just have no basis in reality whatsoever.
Meanwhile, Diddy continues to deny all charges. Prosecutors claim that 2 of Diddy's live-in girlfriends were actually prostitutes, and that Diddy paid them off with luxury homes, cars, and expensive gifts. Diddy denies everything, insisting that the government is targeting him because he is black.
Diddy Combs is responding to a new indictment against him. In the court docs, prosecutors accuse Combs of knowingly transporting people from 2009 to 2024, quote, with intent that the individuals engage in prostitution, stating that he willfully caused the transportation of female victims, including but not limited to Victim 1, Victim 2, and Victim 3, and commercial sex workers in interstate and foreign commerce on multiple occasions. The indictment also alleges that he, quote, engaged in a persistent and pervasive pattern of abuse toward women that was verbal, emotional, physical, and at times sexual. with the filing stating that he manipulated women to participate in orchestrated performances of sexual activity with Combs. At times, Combs and others acting at his direction made arrangements for women and commercial sex workers to fly to Combs' location. Combs ensured participation from the women by, among other things,
a new motion filed by Diddy's legal team claims that the prostitution-related charges are racially motivated. However, Diddy has been making this same argument against every single accuser, saying they're just jealous of his success. Many believe that since he can't fight the evidence, he's now playing the race card as a last resort.
Combs asked the judge in his federal case to throw out one of the charges. He says he's being targeted because he's a black man and the charge is rooted in racism. I look at Combs' argument and his chances of success. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. Sean Diddy Combs wants one of the counts in his federal superseding indictment thrown out. Combs argues he's basically being singled out by federal prosecutors because of his race and his success in business.
Diddy's defense seems to be gearing up toward his alleged criminal conduct wasn't criminal. It was his personal business of what was going on in his bedrooms or hotels or wherever the freak-offs occurred. So they're saying that count 3 wasn't transportation to engage in prostitution, but was just him using escorts, male escorts at that, to bring in as a third with his girlfriends. Whereas the government's theory of the case is Diddy used force, fraud, and coercion to make his alleged victims have sex against their will in his freak-offs that he recorded for his own pleasure. Now, Diddy pleaded not guilty to all his charges, hence why the case is going to trial.
So far, every victim who has publicly accused Diddy has either been sued or mysteriously contacted by people claiming to represent him. This is exactly why prosecutors are keeping witness identities secret, because Diddy has a long history of intimidating and silencing accusers.
On Sean Diddy Combs, prosecutors are accusing Combs of trying to contact prospective witnesses and obstruct the case against him. Our senior investigative correspondent, Aaron Kotursky, is here with more on that. Good morning to you, Aaron.
Good morning, Robin. Sean Combs going to be asking a judge this week to release him on bail, but prosecutors now say the argument for detention has only gotten stronger. This morning, federal prosecutors are accusing Sean Diddy Combs of escalating his attempts to influence the jury pool and subvert his criminal case. Almost immediately after arriving at the federal jail in Brooklyn, prosecutors say Combs started using telephone accounts of at least 8 other inmates to call people not on his approved contact list. Prosecutors allege Combs frequently instructs family members and his attorneys to add other individuals via three-way call, which is not allowed. On some of those calls, prosecutors say Combs is explicit about his intention to use public statements to sway potential jurors, including this Instagram post by Diddy's kids.
Happy birthday to Daddy.
Prosecutors say Combs enlisted family members to plan and execute a social media campaign around the defendant's birthday, the first time we heard his voice from behind bars.
Oh, thank y'all for being strong and thank y'all for being by my side and supporting me. I love y'all. I got the best family in the world.
Prosecutors say Combs then monitored audience engagement from the video.
And you right about Diddy's phone being tapped, because news came out that his former bandmate from Dirty Money, she called the other group member Dunn 58 times trying to get her to stop the lawsuit against Diddy.
She ain't the only one he was trying to get in contact with. You understand? He sent somebody through somebody else to try to get in contact with me, telling me enough is enough. Oh, okay. You tell Big Mama that enough is enough. You can't tell Wolf Mama enough is enough. You tell D Ferg Mama enough is enough. You understand? You tell all those people who supported you and they survivors enough is enough.
You didn't tell me about that. So he tried to get somebody to reach out to you?
No, I got a phone call from Kirk Burroughs. And Kirk Burroughs, and I ain't gonna get this guy no play. Not Kirk Burroughs, but one of the Puff dudes that I know that's real close to him said, Kirk told me, yo, he wanna reach out to you, Gene. He wanna speak to you. I said, speak to me for what? What do you want to speak to me for? If he's trying to speak to me, it's for Puff. Point blank. I know the dude. I know how close he is to Puff. He's been with Puff from day one. So he ain't got nothing to say to me, bro. But Kirk Burroughs did say to me that the dude said enough is enough.
Diddy is also trying to shift the spotlight off himself. He recently sued NBC News for $100 million, claiming their documentary about him was fake and defamatory. But this is just the beginning. Multiple documentaries are set to be released soon. Even 50 Cent is working on exposing Diddy. Could this lawsuit be a warning to 50 Cent to stop?
Diddy Combs sues NBC for $100 million over its Peacock documentary about him. According to docs obtained by E! News February 12th, the Bad Boy Records founder filed a lawsuit against NBC Universal seeking $100 million after Peacock, the streaming service owned by the media company, released the documentary Diddy, The Making of a Bad Boy. In the filing, Combs, who is currently in jail on sex trafficking and racketeering charges, accuses NBC Universal of defamation and alleged that the company maliciously and recklessly broadcast the documentary, which included claims that the rapper committed crimes like serial murder and sexual assault of minors without having a shred of evidence. The filing reads, in making and broadcasting these falsehoods, among others, defendants seek only to capitalize on the public's appetite for scandal, without any regard for the truth, and at the expense of Mr. Combs' right to a fair trial.
Meanwhile, attorney Tony Busby, who is leading several cases against Diddy, was recently targeted by false rumors that he had been disbarred. Many believe that Diddy is behind these rumors because he knows that instead of fighting 100 victims, getting rid of one lawyer could make his problems disappear. Busby has denied the disbarment rumors, saying he knows exactly who is behind the lies.
Tony Busby wants to get involved in this Candace McCrary lawsuit. And more specifically, he is moved to be admitted to be the attorney for McCrary in New York on a pro hoc vice basis. Now, in other words, that is when you ask the court for permission to temporarily represent a client in a jurisdiction in which you're not licensed to practice. Now, in his motion to be admitted, he writes, I'm in good standing of the bars of the state of Texas and New York, as well as the Eastern District of New York. So even though this particular lawsuit was filed in the Southern District of New York, he explains he's in good standing in a neighboring federal court. And in fact, in the filings, there is what appears to be an official certificate of good standing of Tony Busby from the Eastern District. There is also apparently a statement of his good standing and license to practice law in Texas. However, as explained in Tony Busby's affidavit in support of his motion to appear pro hoc vice and his actual motion.
In a recent episode of the Piers Morgan podcast, legal experts discussed Anthony Rico's shocking decision to quit just 2 months before trial. Everyone agreed that for a high-profile attorney to walk away from a multi-million-dollar case, something extremely damaging must have surfaced.
We do not convict people in America based on them being bad actors. We convict them based on bad acts. That was Cassie's involvement in that hotel hallway a bad act? Absolutely. But as Matt says, the statute ran on that.
Okay, let's just pivot.
And the other thing about this, real quick, on this issue that the lawyer says, it's a term of art. It's like in law when you say we've had irreconcilable differences in a divorce. People say, well, that must mean he beat her. That must mean she beat him or was cheating. It doesn't mean it's a term of art. This lawyer has to make specific showings to the federal judge to be allowed off the case. And one of the ways you do that is that we've broken up and we can't get back together. And all he was saying is we've broken up and we can't get back together. In court, we often call it, we're waiting for Mr. Green to arrive, or Mr. Cash hasn't arrived. Everyone understands what the term of art means. And in this case, it means I'm not getting along with this dude because I want to be the big dog or the top dog, or I'm not getting paid enough money.
Lawyers are supposed to stand up for their clients when they get into legal trouble or accused of wrongdoing.
Yeah, it really is very strange. I mean, I've seen it happen before. It's not reported on, obviously, because it may be that the high-powered individuals that are embroiled in these kind of conflicts where they say, hey, if you represent A, I'm not going to have you continue to represent me. And it's usually very high net worth individuals that might not be newsworthy like this one. But yeah, it's unusual that the move is that she went to them allegedly and said, hey, listen, if you keep representing Sean Combs, then I'm not going to allow you to represent myself. I think it's an unusual move. Now, sometimes it's because of a personal issue that individual may or may not have had with that individual. But if it's just a kind of a question of her own morality or her version of whatever ethical obligation she has to herself, and saying like, hey, if you represent me on contracts, then I can't let you represent this other individual that's accused of all these heinous crimes.
What do you think? Is Mary J. Blige really involved, or is this just an attempt to distract from Diddy's mess? And with so much evidence piling up, do you think Diddy has any chance of escaping this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates. This case is far from over. Stay tuned.